And so somehow I pulled myself together. Somehow we righted this boat in this incredible storm. Really unbelievable. It still scares me thinking about it. So we finally get all the way over to Nantucket. It's 11 o'clock at night. And I'm saying to Ted, well, which motel do we stay in? And Ted said, we're not staying in a motel. I said, we aren't. We're all wet. We're all cold. No. Where are we staying, Teddy? We're staying with a boat. So, I mean, I realized then I was with something out of Captain Ahab of Moby Dick. So, believe it or not, there were 4 cushions. And they were, of course, all wet and everything. But there were 4 cushions, and he took 2. I wanted to take 3, but he took 2. I took 2. There were 3 inches of water, cold seawater, seaweed, everything. We pulled the boat up on the beach, and that's where we spent the night. Well, this was a lot of fun so far. So the next day we got up, and we needed a 3rd man on our crew. Ted said. I didn't have any idea what we needed. I knew I needed a lot more than one more man. And so we go walking down in Nantucket, and sure enough, there's this poor little guy who was a salesman at the Andover shop in Cambridge. And Ted went up to him and said, would you like to go sailing with us today? And the poor kid said, yeah, I'd like to. He was shanghaied him. We took him. And just like I was, he pulled him on the boat and me on the boat, and off we go for the races. And so the races start, I guess, and from that point on, all I remember is Ted yelling about me to get up on the right side front of the boat or the left side, and he always claims that when I was to rotate with the other little guy, that I said, you heard him, get up there! And of course it was really my turn to go up. So anyway, somehow this race was mercifully over. I didn't see anything except this cold water pouring on me, sunburned, t-shirt. I mean, it was a nightmare. And I didn't even see any of the other boats, but we kept going round. So finally, this thing was mercifully over. And Ted seemed satisfied. I had no idea. Probably I was satisfied. I lived through it. But I looked out, and it was like a mirage. Here's this great big yacht, and it was the Honey Fitz. And Ted sort of wanted to surprise me. He knew, we all know how much fun Ted has making his friends uncomfortable at times. And he hadn't told me, but Ambassador Kennedy had come out to watch the race and had brought 3 or 4 of his friends along, and they were out there in the big Honey Fitz, named after Ted's grandfather. And it looked like I never saw anything that looked so good to me. But that boat, and he said, now we're going to get aboard the boat, and we're going to, they're going to tow. They're going to tow the Victoria back behind the boat. I thought, my God, this is okay. So we come alongside the Honey Fitz. And I remember I'm like Eddie Rickenbacker in South Pacific, been on the boat, starving to death out there in the water. Cold, miserable. And I remember Ambassador Kennedy had a megaphone. And he leaned over the side of the boat and he said, good race, Teddy, but I got some bad news for you. The captain says the sea is far too rough to tow you boys back on that boat. So you'll have to sail back. I mean, I couldn't believe my ears. I wanted to jump out of the boat, take my chances they might pick me up. So anyway, but he said, I have something for you here in this container, hot clam chowder. Hot, vacuum pack, and these clamp things on it, and he's lowering it on over a rope, and Teddy always claimed that I grabbed it and tore the rope off, ripped off the top without opening it, just tore the top, and then proceeded to chug-a-lug the whole canteen about this much, and the only thing I missed was what went down my T-shirt. And I said, boy, that was good. And he said, well, Teddy said, what about me? I'm supposed to have some of that. Well, I don't think it was entirely true that I drank all of it, but I drank most of it. So anyway, they pull the rope up, and we're on our own again. I've been 24 hours on this boat. And so now we head back home, I guess. Well, fortunately, the trip back wasn't all that bad after what I'd been through, and it was fairly calm. But we now get within sight of Hyannis. After how many hours? I don't know. But you could see the lights of the house, and probably a half mile away. And I'm thinking, boy, we'll be at a hot shower in no time. And suddenly, the ship stopped. The boat just stopped. And no wind. And I said, no wind. We weren't moving. I could see the house. But I didn't know how we were going to get there. It was too far to swim. And I said, well, Teddy, what do you do now? He said, we get out of the boat. I said, we get out of the boat? Yeah, and he said, one of us has got to push and the other pull. The other pulling the rope ahead of the boat. I mean, you can't believe it, can you? I couldn't believe it. So after 24 hours on this boat, now it's 11 midnight, something, we climb out of that boat into the water again. And he's pulling and I'm pushing. And after a while, we finally make it to shore. Well, when we were back at summer school, it was a whole week before I could get the seaweed taste out of my mouth. But you know, in the following years, I was fortunate to take many, many sailboat trips with Ted. Not only around Hyannis and the islands, but also to Maine, also to the Caribbean, also to the Greek islands. And those were some of the most memorable, really truly enjoyable and pleasurable memories that I could ever enjoy. Always full of fun, always full of joy, and full of laughter. And Ted was awfully good about it. I never learned how to sail, but Teddy always gave me a pass on those voyages. And for that, I'm always grateful. And for those memories, smooth sailing, Teddy. Thank you.